sins are a reason for your disgrace. You become disgraced in front of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. He says the reasons are a reason for the person to be disgraced in front of Allah. You are nothing in front of Allah. Allah does not care about you. You are a sinner. You're not from His good people. Like we said before, you're not from the hizb of Allah. You're from the hizb of shaitan. You become disgraced. And he says, and whoever becomes disgraced, whoever is disgraced by Allah, then nobody will make him noble. This is an ayah which is part of an ayah which is very, very important. We need to think about this ayah. كما قال الله تعالى ومن يهن الله فما له من مكرم. Whoever Allah disgraces, nobody can make him noble. Nobody can make you noble. وَلِيَذُ بِاللَّهِ. So the sins make you disgraced. And see, this comes back to you. You are the one who you want to become noble. In أَكْرَمَكُمْ عِنْدَ اللَّهِ أَتْقَاكُمْ. The most noble of you in front of Allah, those who have the most taqwa. Those who stay away from sins and do good deeds. And the opposite is true. The more sins you do, you become the most disgraced. وَلِيَذُ بِاللَّهِ. He says, وَإِنْ عَذَّبَهُمُ النَّاسُ فِي الظَّاهِرِ لِحَاجَتِهِمْ إِلَيْهِمْ أَوْ خَوْفًا مِنْ شَرِّهِمْ فَهُمْ فِي قُلُوبِهِمْ أَحْقَرُ شَيْءٍ وَأَهْوَنُ. Even though the people, apparently, they might honor this person just because they need something from him or because they fear him. But in reality, in their hearts, he's from the most disgraced of people. Like the people of Fir'aun. He was one of the most disgraced people to them. But they just feared him. They just feared him. And today you see people using this as they honor somebody, not because they really have that honor for him in their hearts. No, just because they need something from him. He has some money, he'll pay them, then khalas. It happens or not. This is reality. This is the effect of sins. You become disgraced, waliyadhu billah. The next one, number 15, he says, the person does not cease to do sins until the sin becomes nothing to him. He becomes nothing to him, it becomes so small to him. And this is a sign of his destruction. It's a sign of destruction. Because every time the sin becomes small to you, it becomes big in front of Allah. It's a sin. Instead of you thinking as a sin, you're actually looking at it, oh, this is nothing. It becomes big in front of Allah. You are looking down on His commands, on His prohibitions. He says, وقد ذكر البخاري في صحيحه عن ابن مسعود قال إن المؤمن يرى ذنوبه كأنه في أصل جبل يخاف أن يقع عليه. The mu'min sees his sins as if he's on the side of a big mountain which is going to fall on him. وإن الفاجر يرى ذنوبه كذباب وقع على أنفه فقال به هكذا فتعر. And the fajr, the transgressor, the sinner, he sees his sins just like a fly which came on his nose and he just brushes it off. It's one of the signs that you are in destruction. When you don't feel that a sin is really a sin. And discuss this in istighfar. When you look down on the sins, it's one of the ways of destruction. Why? Why is this? Because you forget who are you sinning. Who are you disobeying? That's why Nuh said to his people, مَا لَكُمْ لَا تَرْجُونَ لِلَّهِ وَقَارًا. What is wrong with you? You don't have the respect for Allah. It's about respecting Allah and honoring Him. Don't look at the smallness of your sin. Look at the greatness of the one you're sinning. He says, the next one, number 16, the effect of sins. The effect of sins actually affect even the animals. Even the animals. Mujahid rahimahullah says, the animals curse the son of Adam who continues to sins. Why is this? Like we said before, sinning brings about cutting off of the provision. The rain is cut off, the food is cut off. So even the animals suffer. Even the animals suffer. So they curse the sinner. And they say this is because of the sins of the Ibn Adam, of the son of Adam. Allah says, ظهر الفساد في الأرض ظهر الفساد في البر والبحر بما كسبت أيدي الناس ليذيقهم بأس الذي. It's one of the effects of sins. It's one of the effects of sins. So he says, this person is not sufficed by the effects of his sins until that even the animals curse him. He brings himself the curse even of the animals. Let's finish to the 20th point, inshallah. He says, next one, number 17, the sins bring you humiliation. Humiliation. You become small, yeah. You have no status. Al-dhul. And there's no other way, he says. It has to do that. He says because every nobility, every might, al-izz, every victory is through the obedience of Allah. And likewise, every humiliation is through the disobedience of Allah. قال تعالى من كان يريد العزة فلله العزة جميعا أي فليطالبها بطاعة الله فإنه لا يجدها إلا في طاعته. Allah says whoever wants might and nobility and victory, then from Allah is all of this. He says the meaning is that whoever wants that, whoever seeks that, let him seek it from Allah, because it can only come from Allah. And nothing brings it except obeying Allah. Obeying Allah. He says, and so it was it is narrated that some of the Salaf used to say in their du'as, Allahumma izzani bi ta'atik. Allah, make me noble, give me might by obeying you. وَلَا تُذِلِّنِي بِمَعْصِيَتِكَ. And do not humiliate me by sinning you. By sinning you. And I think, if you remember, we mentioned last week the hadith which has this meaning. Which hadith was that? The hadith of Abu Darda. When they opened Cyprus, we said. Right? One of the people saw Abu Darda